Hello, everyone. We are on day 2 of our 2021 virtual conference. I am Rachel Altum. I am the online community manager for the Gypsy Nurse, and I'm here with our CEO, Steve Curtin. Hello, Steve.
Good afternoon, Rachel. Great to see you for day 2 of our virtual spring conference.
Yes, it's been so great. We've had, 3 sessions yesterday. So if anybody has missed out, you can go back to the gypsynurse.com to that events tab and check out all of those ones on demand. You can also check out the ones that are upcoming, like today. We have a great session today and this afternoon and this evening. So I know, Steve, you have some things to say. I'll pass that on to you.
Thanks, Rachel. Yes, I just want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. And as CEO of the Gypsy Nurse, I want to thank our travel nurse community for all that you do, particularly during this COVID pandemic. The Gypsy Nurse's mission is to support travel nurses, and we hope you find this session and the others we've planned this week to be informative and helpful in your travel nursing journey. Please remember to visit the gypsynurse.com spring virtual conference agenda under the events tab for a full list of all of our virtual events this week. And please bookmark the gypsynurse.com as your source for travel nursing resources, including over 150,000 jobs from over 65 top agencies, housing options, and great content from experts that we publish daily to help you and the travel nursing community on your journey. As a reminder, as Rachel mentioned, these sessions will be recorded and available on demand on our website. The Gypsy Nurse is the #1 travel destination for nurses, and we thank you for your support. I would also like to thank today's sponsor, Medely, and travel nurse and CHOP champion, Lorraine Wheeler, for taking time today to provide us with some great information on cooking while on the road. So enjoy. This is going to be a fun session. And Rachel, back over to you.
Yeah, definitely. And we have tons of giveaways going on. I'm going to show you how to win those giveaways, and I'm going to show you how to find the previous sessions and everything that you need to know about the conference. First, you're going to come to the gypsynurse.com, and you're going to come down to events right here. And then also I'm going to tell you about a giveaway, but to get a double entry, if you register on the gypsynurse.com, you just come up to the top and click register. You'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So if you scroll down here, you're going to find our previous sessions because Monday is done. So we have all these different ways to watch. Feel free to comment and still ask questions. The conversations can keep going. It doesn't have to end yesterday. So, and then we have our ones that are coming up. Like we have Lorraine, we have Jean Cook and David coming on later today. We have Tyler Smith going to help you with those Instagram worthy pictures. And for the rest of the week, you can see who's coming up. And as well, you can register for the event and you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So be sure to register so that way you can stay on top of who is coming to the event and any upcoming giveaways. And for today, we will be giving away a $75 Amazon gift card so that way you can purchase any travel cooking needs, any gadgets and gizmos that you need for traveling. If you need a crock pot, Instant Pot, air fryer, there's so many things that you can buy nowadays that make cooking so much easier. So with that being said, I would like to bring on our next speaker. She's an ICU registered travel nurse, Atlanta native, a Food Show Network Chopped champion. Her personality is just magical, and her energy and personality is just uplifting and amazing. You're just going to love her. I'm so proud and thankful to have her in our Travel Nurse Network group and in our huge online community of travel nurses. Everyone, please welcome Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine.
Hey, Lorraine.
Thank
Hey
you so
guys, how are you guys doing today?
Great.
Good. Thank you for joining us. This is exciting, and I'm waiting for some cooking tips. Many people tell me that I desperately need to improve my cooking skills, so I'm all ears, Lorraine, and ready to go.
All right. Well, hopefully I can give you some great tips. Luckily enough for you, you may not necessarily have to have or do a lot of traveling and cooking. You'll have your full kitchen available to you. But I think a lot of the tips that I'll be able to offer you can be utilized while you're traveling or while you're at home as well. Picking back off of what Rachel said, again, my name is Lorraine. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm an ICU nurse, and I've been a nurse for almost 6 years now. And I have done a handful of travel assignments. And like many of you guys, I did a lot of travel assignments last year as well for the pandemic. And I'm just happy to be here.
Well, Lorraine, thank you so much for joining us, and this is great. A couple of things. Number one, first of all, thank you for what you do as a nurse. I know that having worked around the nursing community for many years, I know it's a very, very difficult job, and certainly the last year and a half has been particularly difficult on the nursing community and the travel nursing community. So thank you for what you do as a professional. We really appreciate everything that you do as a nurse. So that's number one. Number two, I really appreciate your taking time to show us some cooking tips today. It is, I know you're very busy and you've got a lot going on in your life, but it was awfully nice of you to share your cooking skills with our travel nursing community. And again, I'm hoping that I personally pick up some skills and I can graduate beyond boiling water. So I'm looking forward to this. And it's really nice to have a Chop champion on our session today. I'd love to, as we go through the session, I'd love to have you talk a little bit more about what that experience was winning the Chopped championship.
Yes, it was absolutely amazing. Definitely a great way to end. I mean, like you said, last year was definitely really, really hectic. Last year was crazy, but that it was great to be able to end my year like that on such a high note. And like I said, I was doing something that I loved. I mean, of course, I love nursing from the bottom of my heart, but to be able to be a nurse and then also get to cook as well, and then to be able to do a pretty good job at it too. That was an exciting opportunity. 10 out of 10 would do it again.
Excellent. Well, you were $10,000 good, as I recall, right? You won, and that was the cash prize, and well deserved. So my wife and I, my entire family watched that episode because it was focusing on nurses, and you did a tremendous job. So this should be much less pressure, Lorraine, to work on this session. You're not competing; you're just informing. So this should be easy.
Yes. For sure.
All right.
A little bit easier at least.
So what are you, just to jump right in, what are you going to show us today in terms of cooking on the road? Seems like you got a special, easy recipe that folks on the road can do at any point during the day.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things that is pretty common amongst all travel nurses that everybody gets a little bit homesick at some point or another. So for me, and I think for lots of people, no matter where you come from, no matter your background, one thing that everybody likes to eat is chicken and rice. And I know that for me, when I cook chicken and rice together, it's something that it's like a bowl of home. So I have a really easy way where you can make that while you're out on the road with as minimal, utensils and extra things as possible, so that we don't have to add. I know one of the biggest questions that a lot of people ask, especially when they're just starting out traveling, is how do I pack? Well, overpacking is definitely a big no-no. Nobody wants to have to carry all that stuff. So I got a way for you to make a nice home-cooked meal that feels comforting, that reminds you of home. It can kind of keep you warm on the inside when you're feeling homesick. And that can take little to no effort to make. Even you could make it, Steve, I promise.
Well, I don't know about that. I would certainly be your most challenging student. I did want to ask you because certainly the aspect of travel nursing and eating on the road is often brought up in our Gypsy Nurse Facebook Travel Nurse Network discussion group. And it seems like it is a real challenge, and what tends to happen is that people will often go out to eat, and that seems fine once in a while. But when you're doing that on a daily basis or multiple times a day, number one, you're probably not getting those nutritious meals that you want. And number two, I can imagine it's very costly. So I'd love to get some perspective on that, because we see that a lot. People are always looking for good places to eat, or they're saying, yeah, I'm spending a lot of money eating out. I want to eat out of my apartment or where I'm living.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, I mean, trying to stay within a budget is definitely a really big priority. Yeah. I personally am a person who I like to eat out as well while I'm out, while I'm travel nursing. But if I can make something every now and then, of course, I like to do that too. One of my big sayings, at least if I'm traveling, is that I didn't travel away from home to eat the same things that I eat at home. So if I'm going to go across the country, if I'm in California, or at one point I was in Miami last year, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make it a point to eat things that I can't get back home, because for me, that's part of the experience. And it's part of just being really immersive into the culture, into the community that I'm in, because as much as I'm there to help the community, I like to see what else I can learn from there and to be a part of it as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I think that's one that many travel nurses share. Well, certainly feel free to get started, and if you don't mind, I'll probably be asking some questions about technique and stuff as you dive in here. So, would love to have you get started, and don't mind me jumping in and asking questions.
Okay, cool. All right, so like I said, chicken and rice, it's super easy. You really can't mess it up. There are a lot of different ways that I like to make this. I can make it on the stovetop at home. Another way that I love to make it that makes it super easy is that I can just toss this, all of it, into like one like baking dish with some water, put some foil on it, put it in the oven. But I'm gonna show you guys how you can make this in a crock pot. So that way, you know, if you don't have access to a stove or to an oven while you're traveling, you can use a handy dandy crock pot. It's the savior of all home cooks and chefs alike everywhere. So what I have here, like I said, chicken and rice is one of those kind of things where you can mix and match flavors. You can add whatever kind of seasonings you want to it. You can go whatever kind of direction you want, whether you want to have more of a Latin spice flavor or more of an Asian inspired or whatever. It can change up no matter how you do it. So one of the shortcuts that I like to use is flavored rice, right? So this rice right here is coconut ginger rice, and it's super easy. Again, I think you can manage this one too.
I've got it.
The instructions are on the back. All you got to do is just open it up, pour it into a bowl, and enough water. So since a lot of Gypsy nurses tend to travel by themselves, I have this small crock pot here. That's actually just a 1.5 quart size crock pot. It's my niece back there. That's my baby. I love her.
Cute.
So a 1.5 quart crock pot is great because it's small enough to make enough food for just one person without having that big old gigantic one that's like family friendly size and that makes a ton of food. So plain or not, you can use plain rice if you like. There are other flavors of rice. You can do yellow rice. There are like rice and beans. There's saffron rice. I've seen a cilantro lime rice. Whatever you like to use, whatever your flavor of the day is, go for it. It's a great place to start. It's a great base to use. It's really versatile and that can add a lot of flavor to your food. So that's that. Then I also have chicken thighs here. These are boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I like to use. Now, I know lots of people like to use chicken breast. And if that works for you, then that's great. But for me personally, I didn't always have travel nurse money. Once upon a time, I had new grad nurse money. I was a new grad nurse. It was a single mom with a 4-year-old kid, and that new grad nurse money plus those student loans all hit. And the one thing that held me close to my heart, that held me close to them, was a boneless, skinless chicken thighs because they were cheap. And so
working on a budget.
Yes, we're doing the budget. So they held on to me, so I'm gonna hold on to my chicken thighs, okay? Because they treated me well all these years. I'm not gonna let them go. The other great thing about chicken thighs, especially, is that they're very easy to cook in terms of knowing when it's done. Chicken thighs, you know that it's done as soon as it starts to fall off the bone and it gets super tender. You know it's done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No worry about internal temperatures, anything like that. So again, it's almost foolproof. You know, all of the tools you need to know when it's finished, it's already built in. Last but not least, I have my favorite. This is like a Creole seasoned salt that I use, and I literally will put this on and in everything that I make. It is a little bit on the spicier side, so if you're not a huge fan of spice, there are other blends of just you can find an all-purpose seasoning. For some people, it may be adobo. It may just be a different kind of seasoned salt, whatever. Tons of different options, but again, you know, you can find something that you like and that seasons your food the way that you like and stick to it. So just to kind of get started, what I'll do first is that I will go ahead and open up the rice, and I'm just going to pour it straight here into the bottom of this crock pot here. The way I like to, whenever I prepare chicken and rice like this and I prepare it together, I typically do my rice at the bottom, put some water in, flavor it how I want to if it's not already flavored, season my chicken, put it on top, and leave it be. So like I said, this is something that even if you're tired after your 12-hour shift, that you gotta come home and put something together really quickly. This is something that I can make, you know, I'll put it all together into, like I said, a casserole dish. I'll measure some water out. I'll season it the way that I like, toss it in the oven, hop in the shower, and do a load of laundry. By the time I do all those things and come back out, it's great and it's ready to go. So got our rice in here now. And so this rice actually calls for, like on the back of the instructions, it calls for 2 cups of water. But because we're going to be using a crock pot that's going to require it's going to have it cook on a little bit of a longer time frame, we don't want our rice to get super, super mushy. So we got that. And then also there's going to be a lot of excess liquid that's going to be released from the chicken. And so we have to kind of account for that. You know, in the ICU nurse world, we call that insensible fluid losses. Fancy word for that. That's the fancy word for that. So
mixing the medical and the cooking. I like it.
Yes, it all comes together. So, so instead of doing 2 cups of water, I just do 1 whole cup of water that I'll add in here. And that way it allows everything. It's enough to moisten the rice like it needs to be moistened. And then it doesn't put too much in there and doesn't create a situation which it's mushy. Mm-hmm. So we got our rice, we've got our water. This rice is already seasoned, but sometimes you want to put a little bit extra in there. So another great tip, if you are on the road and maybe if you don't have access to a kitchen, most grocery stores in their produce section, they actually will already have pre-chopped veggies for you. So for example, I have this one here. And this is what they call a trinity. I think it's more like a New Orleans themed kind of mixture here. So it's got some not red bell pepper, green bell pepper. It's got celery and chopped onion. And most of the work is done for you. All you got to do is just figure out how much you want, toss it in. And then that way you've just already added another layer of flavor to your food. So I'm going to add a little bit of this in here now, just because I like to make sure that, you know, just because it's quick and it's easy and it's simple doesn't mean that it has to be bland. We want our food to taste good. So I'll add that in there. And then, like I said, I will go ahead and I'll season my chicken. And you definitely need to season your protein. Please, please, if you care anything about me, even if you don't care anything about me, but if you just want to make sure that your food tastes really good, make sure you season your food well. Front and back, all over. And then don't be afraid of flavors. I'm using a simple one because this rice already has a seasoning kind of in there. But if I was doing a basic one, I would probably still use like maybe not a hefty amount, but probably use a good amount of this Creole seasoning. Like I said, I could toss this in some soy sauce with a little bit of honey. Just to kind of make it a little bit sweet or kind of give it like an Asian inspired flavor. If you got leftover barbecue sauce and you want to do barbecue chicken and rice, you've got all of the options in the world. And thankfully, you know, again, with chicken thighs being as cheap as they are, and they're great like vehicles for flavor. They can take on the flavor of anything. But season it well because you want it to taste good.
Yeah. So Lorraine, we're already getting a number of comments and questions here, so we're on a roll. But a question comes in that says, "What is the name of that seasoning brand?" We're talking about seasoning. Can we? And it's okay. We can use brands on this broadcast.
It's a little. It's already caught me in the back of the throat there.
Okay.
It's Tony. I can't pronounce it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a. Can you see it better?
Kind of Tony
Chachers.
Yeah. Creole seasoning. There we go.
Yeah. So I use this a lot. So obviously I've got the big girl one, but they've got little itty bitty ones that I've seen before too that again are great for like, you know, pack and go. And if you're not going to use a whole lot, or if you just kind of need a small one to take with you, a roadie, if you will.
All right. We've got another comment here. Just a general comment says, yes, for travel nurses, chicken thighs are the bomb. So you're getting a thumbs up on chicken thighs there.
Yes.
Another commenter says that is a perfect crock pot size, and I know nothing about crock pots. So are there small, medium, and large? What are there sizes for crock pots? You're dealing with a cooking novice here.
Okay. Well, yeah. So crock pots, you can treat it almost like it's like a regular pot for your stove. You know, you've got
Right.
smaller ones, you've got bigger ones. This one, actually, my mom let me use this one because I'll use it sometimes to make smaller things that maybe it's just something that I like that my son doesn't like. But they have, so this one, like I said, is a 1.5 quart. They do have itty bitty ones, and those are kind of better for like if you're taking them for like a potluck or something like that. And then you got your good family size one that you can put your pot roast in and things. And I want to say that one's probably about 3 quarts or larger. And they've got all kind of fancy ones now. They have ones you can get them programmed by your phone. They've got ones that do all kinds of fun things.
Real high tech.
The crock pot is, especially if you are a person like, so at one point, you know, I was in nursing school. I had my son with me and I worked a couple of jobs. Again, you know, I'm familiar to the new grad or the nursing student struggle. And crock pot was a great way for me to cut corners because it allowed me to kind of literally just toss a couple things in there, stuff that I knew would taste good. And I could put it to the side. I could put it in at night. And then by the time in the morning, okay, great, dinner's ready. So I don't have to do that later on. I can just reheat and we're good to go.
So, Lorraine, a couple of questions have come in related to this as I'm looking at our chat questions here. But just a general question would be, when you have gone on travel nursing assignments, have you rented fully equipped places that would have a full kitchen, or have you done, you know, just an apartment, or how did you toggle back and forth related to what was available to cook with?
Yeah, so on my very first assignment, I was in California, and actually I rented a room from somebody.
Okay.
And actually that was another awesome cooking experience because she was from Mongolia. So she actually took the time, we had time together where she taught me how to make dumplings like from her country. And so we got to sit and we got to share food together. And that's another wonderful thing that you have as an opportunity to you when you decide to go out and you go to travel. You get to meet new people from new places, and you get to learn about their culture. You get to share in cultures. And I think that's something that we could all use a little bit more of. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I'm looking at some other comments here while you prepare the chicken. Michelle says, I got travel nurse money and chicken thighs are where it's at. So even regardless of, we've got 2 big thumbs up for chicken thighs. So I think we're on the right track here. Rebecca says, I use extended stat. I have a 2-burner stovetop. I bring grandma's electric skillet. You can cook anything in an electric skillet. So there's a variation. Now we're getting complicated for me, but we've got crock pots and electric skillets. So
right. Well, yeah, some extended stays, they do have kitchens and they do have all of those things. And I've even seen some that came with a few pots and pans and things like that, you know, here and there. So if you have more access to more things, then that's when I like to get a little bit extra fancy. And again, I'm a big fan of cutting corners because, you know, there's a lot to keep up with, you know, in terms of work, raising kids, you know, things like that. So you can even go and you can buy some of those like foil pans, and then that way you can just toss it. There's no dishes to wash, because that's the part that I hate of cooking the absolute most is washing dishes. So if I can put something in the trash and pretend like it never existed, even better.
That's the worst part for me is the cleanup, and I really don't even travel that much. So I hate the general cleanup anyway after cooking. But yeah, I would imagine that certainly, particularly with what travel nurses and nurses in general do, the aspect of, you know, not only preparing a meal but also the cleanup, probably the easier it is, not only for the preparation but also the cleanup, because it's probably the last thing you want to do is be cleaning things after you've prepared a meal, you know, when you've been helping for people. I don't
want to clean more too. I'll just show you real quick how this looks. So it's a little bit difficult to see, but you see chicken thighs in there on top. I do. There's like a little bit of water, but like that's the water with the seasoning from the rice that's already in there. And so it's all kind of not completely submerged, but it's just enough. Have no fear. It's not going to undercook. You know, you really want to make sure, like, crunchy rice is not, unless you want your rice to be crunchy on purpose, like if you fried it, that's one thing. But we want this rice to cook through, and we don't want our chicken to be dry. Then again, it's a chicken thigh, so it's not going to be dry. You have to try to mess up the chicken thigh. Well,
I might be guilty of that. But
so you don't have to come check on you, ma'am. Oh, your poor wife. I'm like, that's hard. That's hard.
Puts up with a lot.
Yeah, bless it. All right. Well, so I'm going to put a little bit more of our Trinity mix just on top here, just because, again, this is not going to hurt us to add more flavor into here. I said if I was, you know, like typically if I wasn't, like if I were home and I were just by myself, my favorite go-tos are just bay leaf and thyme. You put bay leaf and thyme into anything and it's going to taste good. It's going to taste like home. And that's what I like. So my favorite way to make chicken and rice is plain rice. And I'll season the chicken, cook the chicken in it. And then I'll actually cook it with some celery, some carrots. And then I'll put tons of garlic, tons of onion, bay leaf, thyme, and then just like let it sit and just go for a little bit. And then before you know it, it's like your whole house just smells like comfort. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it.
So Lorraine, just in terms of your experience on the Chopped competition, can you talk a little bit about that? For those that don't know, the Food Network has a show called Chopped, which is a cooking competition. And I believe your session, Lorraine, broadcast in March. It was something that you had filmed in the fall of 2020, but they released the show in March, and it was all first responders. That for that particular show was nurses. So I'd love to have you talk a little bit about your experience on the Chopped television show. And you were the Chopped champion. As I said, I watched the episode. You did a fantastic job. I loved your dessert. So maybe spend a moment telling people about your experience on Chopped.
Right. So it actually was really something that I just realized kind of came out of nowhere. I actually think I saw the initial casting call on the Travel Gypsy page. And so, I saw it and I was like, you know what? Like, I love to cook. What have I got to lose, right? Let me give it a shot. And so I submitted pictures of my food to them. I did an interview or so. And then when they let me know that they wanted me to come on the show, I was elated. I mean, over the moon. It was so exciting. I did find, it was very interesting because it was a very, very long day. It actually was longer than the 12 hours. So I thought, I was like, oh, you know what? I do 12 hours. I've done a 16 here and there. It's not going to be that bad. It was a rough day only because it was you're just so excited. You're so anxious. It's a high energy environment, but everybody, it was absolutely amazing. All of my co-competitors. So, hey, Brandon and Rosanna and everybody, all my friends. I still talk to them. We have a group chat going together.
Oh, that's nice.
And Chrissy, of course, can't forget Chrissy, my girl, Chrissy. Hey, boo. We still talk to each other. We're like, oh my God, have you guys watched it again? And it was a great group of people. We all were, cheering each other on. We all had a great time that day. The staff on the set, they were great too. They did a wonderful job of being very careful. There was lots of COVID testing that was done prior to us going when we got there as well. The staff there, they got tested weekly. They all wore N95s and eyewear all day long. There was hand sanitizers and soap and water and everything all day. So they were definitely being as careful as they could and trying to prioritize safety for one another as well, which was really nice to see too, because I know that they had to make a sacrifice as much as, any other people because the entertainment industry had to shut down.
Yes.
But they were really great. The judges were so awesome. They really made us feel like we were so valued. And I know that we are valued. And I know that in the past year, I think we've received a lot of recognition. But it was amazing to sit in front of these big time chefs who cook for, hundreds of thousands of people who are famous for what they do. And then for them to tell me that my steak was the best. Pinch me, like this is not even real. Like there's no way this is real life. It was an all around amazing experience. I definitely went there with the mindset of I'm just happy to be here. It doesn't matter what happens at the end of this. I've met some amazing people. I went to a different city. I got an opportunity to be on Chopped. If as long as I don't go home first, I'm gonna be happy. I'm good. And then so not only did I not go home first, I won. And so it just kept getting better as the day went on.
You sure did. And as I said, I watched that episode. What were I remember your dessert, which was kind of some sort of cake with a Jell-O drizzle on it or something like that. What were the other two meals that you made that led up to the win? You had an appetizer and a dinner, as I recall.
Yeah. So in the first round, the appetizer that I made was a panko crusted mahi lettuce wrap with a kohlrabi and green apple slaw to go on top. and that was utilizing the ingredients of canned bacon, kohlrabi, life preserver candy, and mahi-mahi fish, which actually was kind of an interesting thing for me to do because I'm actually allergic to mahi-mahi, so I couldn't even taste.
Oh.
So,
that must have been a challenge. Yeah.
Behind the scene, they didn't tell anybody that on TV, but I was like, no, I'm allergic to this.
Oh my goodness.
Keep going.
An extra challenge.
Yeah. But it was great. So that was fun. And then, so that's what I made in the first round. And then in the second round, they gave us filet of beef, onion juice, Tuscan kale, and what was the last thing? Oh, shrimp chips, they're like these little plastic discs, but when you fry them, they puff up and they look almost like a pork rind kind of. But they have like this kind of shrimpy and seafood flavor. And so in that round, I call it a Foley crusted beef, which really is kind of like a play on mole, which is like a Mexican dish that's got like tons of herbs and spices and chilies and garlic and raisins and nuts and chocolate in it as well, which is like one of the things that make it very special is that it's got chocolate. And so I made I made a seasoning blend like from scratch. I actually crushed or I grinded peppers while I was on, the station there cooking. And I used a little bit of coffee, some cocoa powder. I used like 3 or 4 different chilies and different spices and stuff. Crusted the beef with that to season it really, really well. Grilled it, got some nice grill marks on there. Then I made some braised kale that I put the shrimp chips in. And then last but not least, I made a cheesy polenta just to kind of like sop it all together to make it like a nice, yummy, warm bite.
You've got my mouth watering already, and I was watching the show and I was amazed at what you were able to do, and then deservedly so. There was I think a $10,000 reward for winning the championship, which was awesome and well deserved. We were happy to provide that information to our audience. I think I mentioned to you in our briefing the other day, prior to this session, that the Chopped casting directors had reached out to us and asked us to put the information out to our audience, and it's wonderful that you were able to jump in on that and get on the show. That's tremendous.
Yes, I'm super thankful. I'm very, very thankful because I mean, like I said, it's one of those kind of things where like if I had to write down a list of things I think I could possibly accomplish in my life, being on Chopped and winning Chopped is probably not going to be on there. But I watch it all the time too, though.
Well, you did an amazing job. We've got some other comments here that I want to mention before we move on here. Michelle says, I love Chopped and congrats on your win, Lorraine. Okay, here's one from Jaleesa. She says, besides seasoning and the crock pot, what are the cooking essentials that you bring with you on every assignment? So any tips as you travel, what people might want to bring with them?
So I think the crock pot for sure is a good one. And then sometimes like they're just really cute little itty bitty rice makers or like rice cookers. So those are good because they work much faster. So like, let's say if you manage to go, I know like where I live here in Atlanta, I know like in the Southeast that you can find Publix every now and then. I think there are a lot of other grocery stores that'll do the same thing where you can go to their seafood aisle and you can ask them to steam the seafood for you. And you can just get some steamed seafood. You can go back, you can make some rice in the rice cooker real quick, take some veggies that are frozen, toss them in the microwave, and now you've got yourself a complete meal.
Okay. Let me see some other comments here. One of our team asked, do you typically clean as you cook, or do you wait until you're done? I know there's some people, there's members of my family that kind of clean as they go. There's others like me, I cook and then maybe clean up later, not all the time or the next day anyway. What do you tend to do? Because I know we talked about it's kind of, you want to minimize the mess so you don't have to clean up too much at the end, but there's going to be some measure of cleaning up. How do you do it? I
like to take care of my dishes. I like to let my dishes have a nice overnight soak. They need to just marinate. The dishes have to marinate too. Okay. That's what happens. And then, like I said, I'm fortunate enough to have a really wonderful, kind-hearted 9-year-old who likes to earn chore money by cleaning the dishes after mommy cooks. Very good.
Always nice to have some help.
Yes.
That is cool. Just to go back a little bit to your travel nursing journey and so forth. How many assignments have you been on in your travel nursing career? I know you've done staff nursing and then you went to travel nursing, but how many assignments have you done?
Let's see if I had to count. Six. I'm at a total of six.
6 assignments. Okay.
Mhm.
What was your favorite one in terms of geography? Where did you like going the best?
Miami.
Miami. Okay.
Miami was definitely my favorite one in terms of geography. I mean, it was great. I was actually in South Beach, or really close to South Beach. And the hospital that I was at down there was great. The food options I had down there were great. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed. I stayed down there for only a month because it was actually earlier this year during the pandemic. But I absolutely loved it. That was my favorite. And I was looking at going back before a couple of other things kind of came together for me. But 10 out of 10, Miami is my favorite one.
Okay. And you are based in Atlanta. That is where you are now, and that is your hometown?
Yes. Atlanta is my hometown.
Okay. What are some of the Atlanta dishes that you like to cook when you're on the road? Is there any other dishes you like to bring with you when you're on the road?
In terms of like foods,
different food styles and those sorts of things. Yes.
Oh, like I'm a good old Southern cook, so I like all the foods that I grew up on, that my aunts made, and the things that are like near and dear to my family's heart and stuff like that. So if I like to make like a roast, like a pork shoulder is my best friend. That's my favorite kind of food. So if I can get a pork shoulder and put it in the crock pot, and then same thing, just with my regular seasoned salt, some bay leaf, some onions, some garlic, and some thyme, and let it sit and go for 12 hours or more, I can eat that for like 4 days. It is like a good base for everything. It's barbecue, great. Put some barbecue sauce on it. I got a pulled pork sandwich. Do I want carnitas tacos? Oh, great. I put a little salsa and everything else on it. I've got a taco. I mean, that's my favorite little piece of heaven.
Do you ever on assignment, Lorraine, or when you're working within a facility, do you ever bring in any of the food that you make and share it with your nursing teammates? I know that's quite popular in our network group, people sharing food and kind of having meals together as a way to get to know each other and also obviously get some nutrition. So I'm just curious if you share your cooking skills with your nursing teammates.
I do, not so much when I'm traveling, just because I don't have like my full spread of everything. I don't have this wonderful mess behind me to kind of help support my skills. But when I'm at home or if I'm doing a kind of local assignment, definitely. I said like there are 2 hospitals that I work at pretty frequently that I go and I spend a lot of time, and they both know that I'm good for bringing food to like whatever I try, especially if I make something and I'm just like, I just got bit by a little bug and I just want to cook a bunch of things, and then I'll make a ton of food and then I'm like, hey, you guys, got leftovers, anybody want this? Or I got a little cake crazy, I made like 3-pound cakes, I just brought them to work today.
Now, do you, in terms of specialties, are you more savory dishes, or do you also cook a variety of different desserts? Again, I go back to your chopped win, and you made that cake, but are you normally more of kind of a savory cook, or do you also toggle into desserts as well?
I just do a little dabble into desserts.
Okay.
Making savory dishes is something that I'm able to kind of do easier on the fly. Desserts, I kind of have to sit and plan and make sure that I'm doing everything right. Because I hate it when desserts come out bad. Like, you don't want it. You just had this amazing meal and now your dessert's like lackluster. So I put a lot more effort actually into the desserts that I make, but when I do, I try to make sure that I do them right. So some of my favorites are pound cakes or things like that.
Okay. How about any advice for vegetarian travel nurses cooking on the road? I know we talked a lot about dishes with, various meats, but do you have any off the top of your head, any vegetarian or meatless dishes that you might want to pass some advice along?
I think, and I'm not a big vegetarian, but I know that I think you can take mixes of veggies. And I've tried to experiment a little bit here and there with tofu, but never on the road. So I don't really know much about that, but now I really want to figure that out a little bit more.
Well, Maybe you'll be invited back to a Chopped episode. They just focus on, they have different themes. Maybe it'll be the vegetarian theme or something,
Thanks. I mean, I would definitely do my best to try to make sure I can make it taste great. Like I said, once you put garlic, onion, and seasoned salt on something, it should be fine, right? So,
so it seems like that is, if there are secrets here that you're divulging, that one of the secrets is the proper seasoning, right? Particularly for your meats, make sure your meats are properly seasoned.
And layers, you really want to like taste and you want to season as you go. So, I mean, there's, of course, seasoning that you like put on, just like the salt and pepper, but then there's things that kind of like seep into your food. Like I said, like, so the onion and garlic and bay leaf, you want all of the different dimensions of flavor, because like that's really what makes the food stand out. So
yeah. When you were on the road and you are preparing meals while you're on the road, in terms of shopping, did you or do you shop on a daily basis? In other words, you get off your shift and you go shopping, or every couple of days? Or you do once a week? How do you, we talk about planning and scheduling, that part's hard too. Yeah. How do you shop? How did you plan your meals when you cooked on the road?
So in terms of shopping, I typically would do one big trip when I first get somewhere to kind of get all the things that I know are going to be my basics. So if there's something that I don't already have that I need, I'll probably try to go out, just kind of get all of the staples. Like I said, I'll probably get like a big thing of rice or, a couple of different things like that. But I've got a terrible, terrible habit. Even when I'm home, I'm going to go to the grocery store almost every other day.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the few people who I actually kind of enjoy being in the grocery store. I can go up and down every aisle and I'm just
you enjoy that shopping experience. It doesn't bother you.
I do. So going to the grocery store doesn't bother me. And so even if it's one of those few things where if I went to the grocery store after work, I wouldn't be too bothered by it personally, but you got to figure out what works best for you. But I will say for sure that when I cook, I don't cook for just one night. I have a tendency to cook for at least 2 to 3 nights, maybe a lunch in there as well. So I find I do have a hard time cooking for just myself when it's just me. But like I said, at least 2 nights worth of food is what I'll make in one sitting. If I can make it 2 nights and a lunch for one day, even better.
Okay, so it's not just a one and done. You'll take the dinner and make it into a lunch or your next night's dinner or something like that.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. I got a couple of other comments here. Taylor asks, what is your favorite genre of food to cook and eat? And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit more, Southern cooking, right?
Yeah. But I will say though, I like to experiment a lot. So I kind of make it a point to try, again, I talk a lot about trying to explore other cultures and trying to make sure that I show appreciation to other cultures by trying my best to make foods from different places and from cultures that I'm not necessarily familiar with. But I always make sure that I find somebody who is of that culture. I'm saying, listen, I want you to taste this, and you're not going to hurt my feelings. Okay. If this tastes terrible and if it tastes super Americanized, I need you to tell me what I can do to make it better. And if it tastes great, don't lie to me, because I want to make it good.
Right. Don't make me feel nice. Just tell me the truth so I can improve.
Brutally honest, because I'm not going to put the effort into make something and not make it good. So I think my most recent experience that I made tamales around Christmas, where I actually had to use the masa, and I was sitting at my table for forever trying to figure out how to make the dough right. And then I took it to one of my coworkers at work, and I took them a huge, because I made 8 billion of them. I didn't realize how much I was making. And a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And I took it to work and I said, all right, listen, I want you to eat these. And if you hate them, you tell me what I can do to make them better. And not only did he enjoy them, but he said his mother enjoyed them as well. And they're both from Mexico. He said his mother loved them. She said, these are good. So
very nice.
There is no higher honor than that.
Oh, that's nice. Well, we're getting a number of questions here. I know we only have about 15 minutes left here, but if you're okay, we're going to ask you a couple of other questions, particularly about travel nursing. Yeah. Just moving over to this topic, in your travel nursing experience, and I'm sure this is going to vary from assignment to assignment and facility to facility, but generally speaking, did you feel supported on your travel nursing assignments? How did you like it? What was your experience? Did you feel supported on your assignments through the facilities?
Yeah, I would say the majority of the time, I did feel supported. There were a number of times, there were a few occasions here and there where I did feel like the support was lacking. But that's where it becomes really, really important to be confident and to be secure in yourself and in your practice, to be able to advocate for yourself and be able to speak up and say, listen, like, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't understand this. And then a lot of the times too, it really could just be a matter of how you approach or how you verbalize the issue. I have a tendency of saying, hey, can you explain to me what the rationale behind doing X, Y, and Z is? And a lot of the times, once it's explained, it may make more sense or it may not. And then, you have to just be able to, you have to be comfortable with advocating for yourself respectfully, because you do have to keep in mind that this is a place that you are, granted, yes, they do need your help, but you are still visiting. You don't want to, be rude to the people who are welcoming you to their place, to their unit, to their hospital. But for the most part, I haven't had a lot of issues. I've been very thankful. I've been very fortunate that I haven't had very many issues. But, every now and then there are a couple hiccups, but they're just hiccups.
We have another question. Did you take, and the question is your daughter, but I believe that is the baby in the background is your niece, and that is, okay. So you have a son. How old is your son?
My son's 9.
Okay. So the question would then be, did you take your son on on any of your travel nurse assignments?
Not this past year for obvious reasons. But when I traveled pre-COVID, it was during his school year, so I couldn't bring him with me. He ended up staying with my parents during that time. But during his spring break, I definitely brought him out and my mom out to come and visit me and spend some time with me. And I made sure to plan my schedule accordingly. And that's like one of the ways in which I've definitely been supported, where I kind of, let management know, hey, listen, I'm a little homesick. I miss my family. They're coming. Can I have my schedule this way? And most of the time, people, they're human beings, so they're rather understanding.
Okay. A question from me is, one of the, obviously the benefits or the reason why people do travel nursing is to obviously see different parts of the country and go to different cities. What is a place that you have not been to that you would like to have a travel nurse assignment in? I'm just curious from that perspective.
I think if I was going, there are a couple of different places that I think I would like to go to. I think for sure the standard Hawaii, because everybody wants to go to Hawaii. So that's definitely high on my list. I would love to travel in Hawaii at some point. Also, I would like to do like DC, I think, because I have inner city healthcare is near and dear to my heart. There's a lot I think that's involved with providing healthcare in those communities that I just really like to do. I really like to work in some of the lower income hospitals, and because I find those experiences to be very, very rewarding. I have never been in a hospital like that and had a bad experience. Every time I go to hospitals like that, I find myself able to learn so much. I find that I have opportunities, I feel like I'm there to help and I'm there to give, but I feel like I end up gaining so much more every time I go to those kind of hospitals. So I know that DC is has a little bit of a reputation of being a rough area, but that's where I would want to go, because that's where I would want to, give some love and support the community.
Are there nurses that you have done assignments with that you became friendly with and still keep in touch with?
Yes. So again, my homies from in Miami, there's Julio, and then there's oh my gosh, Mikey. Mikey, I don't know if they're watching.
I hope they are. We have a lot of people checking this out. So.
And they were charge nurses at one of the hospitals that I worked at when I was in Miami, and those two guys were absolutely wonderful. It's I went down there, and they became like brothers to me. I love those two guys. So, hi, Mikey, Julio. And I think that was probably one of the most welcoming hospitals I had ever been to. Not even just them, but the entire staff and everybody there. I mean, I think it's pretty much common across the board that nurses love their coffee. But they are very different down there. That Cuban style coffee, it just, I drank it and it touched my soul, just my spirit. And Yeah.
Also get you ready for the day too, right? You're ready to roll once you've had that.
Take care of me. They make sure every single day I had coffee,
Sure.
and so if that is definitely being taken care of. It I can't ask for more than that. Then of course I got a bunch of friends that I made. I worked in Albany, Georgia last year too. So Tara, and then there's this Miss Corinne and a couple of other people that I met down there too. So I've definitely made a lot of friends in a lot of different places.
It's no surprise that you've made a lot of friends because you're a very outgoing person, and that's quite apparent in terms of talking with you. Just another question related to travel nursing, and this is just more of a general question. The Gypsy nurse, one of the things that we try and do is support travel nurses at all points in their travel journey. One of the things that we try and do as well is introduce people to travel nursing and support them in their early part of their career. What would your advice be to people that are just starting out as a travel nurse, maybe entering into their first assignment, as well as people that are considering travel nursing? What would be you having done several assignments now and kind of been on both sides in terms of travel versus staff, what would be your advice to people that are entering their travel nursing journey?
Definitely, it's scary, and it's okay for it to be scary. I mean, you are going to a completely new hospital. You don't know what the training is going to be like. It's okay for it to be scary. It's okay, but you got to be confident still, and just kind of find your footing. And once you find your footing, it'll get better. It's rocky at first. It's rough at first. That homesickness hit different. Especially when you're working and you're tired, and then you are however many hours away from home, and you're in this place and you're by yourself. It's hard, but it gets better. It does get better. There are so many ways to try to find things to do in the cities. I know it's a little bit tough now with the pandemic and things being closed down, but take it as a wonderful opportunity to kind of get close and to get intimate with yourself, and see what kind of things you like. Find some new activities, just kind of get out there and make the most of it, because you never know. You may not have another opportunity to do this. You may not find yourself in this city or in this hospital in this setting ever again. So try to keep in mind that it's hard, but there's so much you can gain from it besides the financial or the seeing in the place.
Great advice. Well, just in the next few minutes here, I would like to get some cooking takeaways from you, kind of final advice for travel nurses and cooking on the road. Give us those 3 or 4 takeaways that, if nothing else, people need to remember that as part of this session. So would love to hear that. Then we'll bring Rachel back on.
Okay. Well, final takeaways. I definitely would say, do what you're comfortable with, but I mean, maybe you can get fun with it too. Try to get outside of your comfort zone and see how you like new flavors. You can ask people in the neighborhoods and the communities where you are, because a lot of times they can point you out to little places where you can get small things. You can add them to what you like, and then you can kind of use that as an opportunity to kind of expand your repertoire of things that you know how to make. And like I said, I mean, if you don't have a whole kitchen, having a whole kitchen, of course, is ideal. But if you don't have access to that, a good old crock pot, or like I said, or electric kettles are great as well. And rice cookers, I think, are probably the top 3 gadgets I would say I love. Or toaster ovens. If you can get a toaster oven, and if you feel like traveling back and forth with a toaster oven, definitely would recommend a toaster oven too.
All right. And seasoning, right? That's one of the things for me. Seasoning. All right. I can remember that. Lorraine, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know we've got some wonderful comments here. People appreciated not only your perspective in terms of cooking on the road, but also, too, just as importantly, your perspective on travel nursing and some of your experiences. So thank you very much for not only sharing your time with us today, but the great advice. And again, just to close this out, thank you for what you do as a nurse and as a travel nurse. We at the Gypsy Nurse certainly appreciate that. We know how hard of a job it is. So thank you for everything that you do. And it was really nice of you to take time today and join our community. So fantastic information. It was great to speak to you. I hope you'll come back again at some other point. Maybe you can check in on me and my cooking skills. We can do a summer a summer session where, you can critique my grilling skills or something remotely. I don't know. We'll figure something out, but
we can figure it out. I'm
we
so good on the too.
We've got to have you back. We've got to have you back, Lorraine. That was fantastic.
Anytime, just let me know. I'm happy to be here. And again, very thankful for you guys to even invite me and have me come talk to you guys. I'm happy to do it. And thank you so much for all the thanks and well wishes and everything. Like I said, I'm as much as I love to cook, I'm a nurse first. And if this job paid me absolutely nothing, I still would be a nurse any day of the week.
Well, you have a lot of supporters out there. You can see from the great comments that are coming in. You're getting a lot of love and a lot of support and a lot of thank yous. So thank you for joining us. And Rachel's back. Rachel is back. Rachel, did you learn anything?
Definitely. And
right.
One thing I gotta say is, if you can cook something and you're allergic to it, and then you still win top, then you can be like the best cook in the world.
Right.
They might know what it tastes like, but then they still love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely.
It was exciting for sure.
Well, Lorraine, thanks again. And Rachel, I know you have a couple of things to talk about. We're going to be giving away some prizes to people that have commented. We also have some prizes, I believe, from our sponsor today, Medely. So would love for you, Rachel, to close it out here and take us home.
Yeah, definitely. So anybody that commented today or, comments later today in the next 24 hours, we'll announce tomorrow the winners. But yeah, give Lorraine some love, ask questions, keep the conversation going in those comments, and you'll be entered to win a $75 gift card. You can buy the crock pot she's talking about, buy a couple of the mini crock pots, whatever you need for your travel nurse journey. You can just pick up your kitchen gadgets and gizmos. If you register on the gypsynurse.com, and for the registration for the event, you get entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And then also the winners from yesterday, I'm not going to say their names because we talked about safety yesterday, and I don't want anyone's gifts being hijacked in the mail if someone knows where someone lives, or heaven forbid their email get hijacked or something. I know these thoughts go through my head, but you know what, people, it happens. So
we are learning through our sessions, Rachel. We're learning through our sessions.
So everyone that won yesterday have been contacted. So please check your email, not your email, your Facebook messages. They should be in there, messaged from the Gypsy Nurse. Only open it if it says the Gypsy Nurse. It's Gypsy related, then it's us. So be safe and check. Like Furnish Finder said yesterday, check. So, but yeah, we have more sessions going on later today. We have one at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to learn about money, which we all need that kind of advice, especially that travel nurse money. And then tonight we're going to have Tyler come on, and she's going to tell you how to take those Instagram-worthy pictures. So I know some of you really want to learn how to take better pictures, and she's going to teach you how to tell a story. It's not just about the picture. It's about showing that travel nurse story. So
they're going to be great. They're going to be great sessions, and that was fantastic with Lorraine. And we've got 2 other sessions coming up. So it is, and we're only on Tuesday, right? We've got 3 more days to go of some fantastic sessions. So, but that was a wonderful session with Lorraine, and we look forward to 2 others later today. So.
Oh, sorry. Speaking of champions, I would just want to take a moment to show who our champions were of the survey that many of you have taken to, the best agency of, the year. So I'm going to show you how to find that. We're going to come to reviews, best agency 2021, and you can see the rest of the years. So if you are, we see this question every day. I see it come through the network group. Who's the best agency? Who's the best agency? So the past 3 years we've reached out to a separate company to compile all of these things, take the survey, so that way it's completely unbiased. And, it's a lot of work, and we want to make sure that it's accurate and everything's good. So we have the best travel nurses of 2021. So we can give a big congrats to all these winners that did such a great job on the agency. These are all agencies that our travel nurses recommend. So be sure to check those out if you're looking for a new agency, or if you want to see if your agency made the cut. Just go to the gypsynurse.com, best agencies of 2021.
Absolutely. We did this our 3rd year, and We had thousands of nurses respond, and a third-party market research firm has compiled all the results. And we have the top agencies for 2021. So I would definitely check it out. As you said, Rachel, that is one of the hot topics of conversation in our Travel Nurse Network group on the Gypsy Nurses. What are some agencies I want to work with? So we have them all compiled there for you based on feedback from our community.
Yes, definitely. Well, we will see you all on our next session. Thank you, Steve, for co-hosting and working with Lorraine. You were a great co-host today.
I am taking notes. I need to improve my cooking skills, and that was the perfect way to do it. So I look forward to learning about retirement information at 3:00 today. So we're getting a whole host of information to help us out in our daily lives. So it's all good information.
Yep. Well, thank you all. We'll see you all later.